Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. You guys asked for jazz harmony and jazz chords and jazz music. So what I'm going to show you is my technique on how to create a jazzier sound right inside of FL Studio. Let's hop straight into it. So we're in FL Studio, the latest version. You guys will get the project files for free. We're going to use a free plugin you guys could download called Labs. This does not come with FL. We're going to use what's called the soft piano from Labs, and that creates a really nice jazz sound. So firstly, it's just loading up the right sound. Okay, so nextly, let's tap out about 100 BPM. Okay, and we're going to keep the metronome on for now. Let's right click, go to piano roll. So the first thing about jazz is understanding the chord types that sound jazzier. And those are going to be your seventh chords. Now, most people, when they write seventh chords, they'll go to their chord stamp, for example, and they'll grab like the minor seventh and they'll play it right here, which sounds fine. There's nothing wrong with this chord. But I want to introduce a new way of thinking about seventh chords, which is to ungroup the notes, hit Control, hit Alt G, and then take this bottom note, hit Control down. Try spreading apart your seventh note, mainly keeping the root in the bass and then using the other three notes in the right hand. It just opens up the chord and makes it sound a little more jazz-like. Because what you can do from here, a quick technique is you could copy a minor seventh chord, for example. You could take the first and the fifth and just flatten it down one. Now, I'm going to show you multiple techniques here, but what we're going to do is revoice this. I know I'm getting a little advanced pretty quickly. We could take this second note and pull it up an octave. That also creates a more soul-like sound. I'll also turn up the volume on the output so you can hear this. There we go. Now that we have that third raised up an octave, what we're going to do is take this root note in the fifth and just hit shift down one. So in jazz, they like to transpose just half steps at a time. And that creates a really nice chord. So if you're going to do a major chord, for example, like a major seventh, now this is not a chord progression I'm showing you guys. I'm just showing you how to convert these notes. So here we have the major seventh. And again, what we want to do is pull the third up an octave, take the root. Let's copy this chord over, take the root in the fifth. For major chords, I pull them up a half step. It just sounds cool. So it creates tension without changing the identity, a lot about the identity of the chord. Okay, so it does change the chord type, but it doesn't change the essence of the chord. It just adds a little tension to the chord, and it's because of these half steps. So whenever you want to try jazzier approaches, try half steps. Another one is simply to go to your fifth and just start adding notes below things. Okay, so in this case, it adds that tension because of these half steps. So just try half steps. Now in this case, I'm dropping everything down a half step, so we're just transposing the chord in this case. And another kind of side note is that I found around the fifth, you can add that sharp fifth and flat fifth at the same time to create a nice tense sound. And that's because of the music theory of it. Let's pull this down. Now, if you mapped out this chord type, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a major chord, 8, 9. So this is really a major sixth chord that we're creating here by using a sharp fifth and a flat fifth at the same time and dropping the tonic down a half step. So these are the little tricks you can use in jazz. Also, you could pull that up to play the same top note. And it just creates a difference enough, but it still keeps that tone because we're keeping that same top note. So I know I'm kind of going through these. Another concept you guys can use is called, let's grab our minor ninth chord. We're going to use what's called a tritone substitution. In short, I can't go through everything about everything. We have music theory courses. Just go to busyworksbeats.com because I lay the foundation for you there so that you're not confused. So if anything sounds confusing and I'm moving too fast, look for the Music Theory Essentials course as a foundation and then move into what's called Music Theory Magic. Those two combined will show you a lot you didn't know about music theory. So nextly, we're going to use what's called a tritone substitution. we're going to use a dominant ninth chord. And basically, the short of it is that we're walking down a half step and we're harmonizing each one of these half steps. So at the end here, we're going to land on our major, ninth in this case. And ninth chords give you a nice full selection of notes, which makes it more jazz-like. I'm going to pull this up. This is called a tritone substitution because technically the dominant chord for C is G dominant. And so we're pulling it down 6 semitones, which is a tritone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's the normal chord voicing. All right, so we're just pulling it down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can even alter this chord to where we have a sharp 5th, sharp 9. That's a nice R&B technique. Or you could do flat 5th, flat 9. And then again, let's say you need a 4th chord. You're like, okay, I have a major chord. What do I do on the 4th chord? Again, I usually do this around 7th chords, not the 9th. So let's try it on the 7th. We're going to raise that 3rd. And then we're going to take this 5th and tonic and pull it up 1/2 step. Now, usually I'll do, let's just hear what it sounds like before, and then I'll get into a different concept. See how it just keeps the tension there? That's one thing you could do, or we could use what's called the parallel. So we could land on C minor 7th using the parallel scale. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that would be our minor 7th chord. Now I'm going to revoice this so the 3rd's up top. We're going to copy it over and then flatten the tonic in 5th. Okay, so you see how it pulls on your ear and it just keeps going. So another thing we could do is use a deceptive cadence. I'm trying not to overwhelm you guys with too many terms, but we can land on another chord that's not necessarily our tonic. This is from the relative minor scale, and this is the minor 9th chord. So in this case, I would probably use the minor 7th from A as opposed to E, or excuse me, from C. And then I would flatten the tonic. So here's what I would normally do. Okay, you can also raise this E because that's our top note to keep it more melodic up top. Okay, and then you can take all these bottom notes, pull them down. Okay, so now you're getting that Tyler the Creator realm of harmony. Another thing you could do is called a secondary dominant. And to do this, I'll demonstrate it with normal voicing so it's not confusing. So also keep in mind that voicing is a huge part of music theory when it comes to writing chords and chord progressions to elicit emotions. Voicing is a huge part of that. So what we're going to do is called use a secondary dominant. So whenever you want to move to a new key, you could use the dominant chord of that key that you're trying to move to resolve into the next chord type. So in short, let's say I want to go from C major over to A natural minor. I'm going to use the dominant of the A natural minor, which is going to be E. We're going to use, in this case, a dominant 9th chord, which is not a major or a minor. It has a diminished chord inside. And then we're going to use this to transition us into the A. Now I'm going to revoice this, or, reposition it to where it's 6 semitones down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's hear what this sounds like. It's called a tritone substitution. See how it resolves, dun, dun, like that. And again, you can revoice this to sound however you like. Now, to me, we have a lot of notes going on, so let's take out some of these notes. Revoice that 3rd up an octave. Let's put it back to E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we get like a storytelling type of vibe. Now let's pull down the bottom note. Okay, so those are quick little things you could do. Now let's move into bigger harmonies. So look into minor ninth, minor 11th chord stacks. I found that minor just sounds better once you hit the ninth and the 11th. I really don't like major 11th. It just doesn't sound good to me because you create a diminished chord on top. So major ninth is about as high as I normally go without altering the chord. But minor ninth, or excuse me, minor 11th chords are basically like playing an entire scale all at once. That's how I think about this chord. And also jazz tends to live around a specific octave. So I found this octave here to be the best octave. And now I'm going to shut off the music theory and ease. And now we're just going to listen to the melody of the chords. Usually our ear listens to the top note of a chord progression. So I want to go, let's. Okay, so only using the top note of the chords. Now let's figure out how to harmonize these chords. And here's where you get into all the techniques I show you at busyworksbeats.com and the Music Theory Essentials, but also in the Music Theory Magic course, I go over concepts on how to harmonize just one note. And I'll leave the links below, but it's just busyworksbeats.com. You guys can find that. Okay, so here, let's just make this the top note of some chord. In this case, usually in jazz, they transpose the chord types. So we're gonna use the same minor ninth chord. And we're gonna keep doing minor ninths or minor 11ths. I feel like we're missing a note. Somehow I switched this to minor ninth. Okay, this is a minor 11th. This is a minor ninth. This is a minor ninth. Okay, so I have the same C note. So what I'll do is I'll do that technique that we talked about actually in a different video, but I'll show you guys here. We're basically going to convert this to a major chord type. And so we're going to keep the C on top, and I'll show you how to revoice this. So in short, we're going to take the tonic, we're going to take the fifth and pull it down one. We're actually converting this chord to a major, and then we're going to keep top note. Now, once it gets into the ninth, I like to delete the ninth. Let's just hear what it sounds like first before we delete it. It sounds good with the ninth. Now, normally I wouldn't have the ninth. I would just let C be the top note. Still sounds good regardless. But what you could do is revoice that note up top. So remember, the notes that I built for the melody were. So I like to keep those as the top of the chord so it's easier for the ear to identify that as the melody. So I'm going to pull down any notes above that point down an octave. That's called, inverting the notes or revoicing the chord. And then you want to add humanization. Okay, so let's add a tool called Humanize. Apparently there's another tool where it takes away overlapping notes. I'm going to download that script soon enough. Just make sure your notes don't overlap. And then you could also try Alt-S. Okay, so now we're playing the notes spread out. So it's taking these big chords and it's adding a melodic identity to it because it's playing at different times. So our ear thinks that we're playing a melody. In reality, we're just playing a chord spread out. Now I like to keep those altering things towards the end because now if I wanted to make small changes, I would have to copy all the timings and it's very tedious. So that's why I do all the alterations at the very end as far as MIDI effects. And then I might think, how do I keep the same vibe, but switch it up a little bit? So now I'm just going to pull notes up or down an octave. Another thing you want to do is try different keys. So hit shift up and shift down in FL Studio to try out different keys. All right, so try those techniques. And again, if you want to take this even further and you want a deep understanding, go to busyworksbeats.com. Look for the Music Theory Essentials course. That's the main one. That's the foundation of all our trainings. Then look for the Music Theory Magic. That's my best music theory course that I have yet. So go to busyworksbeats.com/music theory magic to find that one. I'll see you guys. Subscribe if you're new, like the video, share with a friend. Peace.